Hey guys! So for those of you who have followed me throughout my nursing school journey, you guys know that I just accepted my first nursing job and I currently work for OBGYN office. We have two offices. I fluctuate between both offices during the week. Whichever doctor they pair me with, I go to the office that they're at for that day. And each morning I look at what doctor I'm working for, I print out my schedule, and some days we have more annuals than OB checks, some days we have more OBs than annuals, and we even have a couple procedures thrown in there. The main procedures that we have are the Nexplanon insertions and reinsertions, which is the birth control that goes in your arm. It's the little bar. And then we also do the colposcopy. The colposcopy is when you have an abnormal pap and they want to go into your cervix and do kind of like a biopsy, and they take parts of your cervix that are abnormal, put it in a container, send it to the lab to see if it's cervical cancer or any kind of microorganism causing it or an infection, anything. And those are the two main procedures we do. So as an intake nurse, I print out my sheet for the day, I go to the waiting room, I call that patient back. If they're here for an annual, even if they're not here for an annual, I get their vitals. And the annuals, I go through their whole chart, making sure that everything's up to date, especially the first day of their last menstrual. Unless they've had a hysterectomy or they're menopausal, they're obviously not going to be having a period. And I go through their family history, making sure that there's no new cases of ovarian, breast, or cervical cancers. And I update their social history. Are you a smoker? Have you started smoking? You're still a non-smoker? And I ask if they've been anywhere where Zika virus can be transmission. I especially ask that question for the OB patients. And during their annual, we update the HIV, Hep B, and C consent form, and then we also update the blood transfusion consent form. The HIV, Hep B, and C consent form is just to inform them that in the event that we come in contact with their blood or bodily fluids with a needle stick or any other event for that matter, we're going to test them and the party involved to make sure that those diseases aren't present, and if so, treatment obviously needs to be ensued. So the blood transfusion consent form is obviously worst case scenario, but in the event of that emergency, would you accept a blood transfusion to potentially try and save your life, or would you refuse it? So I make sure that those are updated. I also have to make sure that consent forms for the Nexplanons are signed by the patients, or any Skyla, Mirena, or Paragard insertions. They have to sign the consent form saying that they want that implanted inside of them. And what else do I do? I set up the rooms for the exams for the day, so I make sure the warmers are on, warming up the speculums. I make sure that there are new sheets of paper on the exam tables. I make sure they have enough supplies for the pap smears and any STD testing that they may need to do, or any BV testing. And we have a lot of OBs, so when the OBs come in, if they're 35 weeks and above, we do undress from the waist down. Doctor's going to come in and check to see if you're dilated any, or if they feel your membranes have ruptured, and they just make sure that everything's okay with baby. They listen to the heart rate. And the other OBs that are kind of just beginning to kind of get that baby bump, or they're just 12 weeks along or maybe 20 weeks along, I make sure that there's no abnormalities, like are you already feeling cramping, are you having abnormal bleeding, stuff like that. And 23, 24 week visit, I usually give them the Glucola drink, which is what they drink to test for gestational diabetes at their next appointment. They hate that drink, by the way. I always get yelled at when I have to give it to my patients. I feel so bad. And another big part of my job is hooking up the NST machines. The NST machine is a non-stress test, which you have one Doppler that's going to measure the fundus, uterus, when the mom's contracting, and then the other Doppler is for the fetal heart rate. That's the one you're going to put the ultrasound gel on, find baby's heart rate, and then you strap the straps to keep it in place to measure the heart rate. You also give the mom we call it the bingo button, where you press the button every time you feel fetal movement. And that basically just tells the doctor, the duration of her contractions, the fetal heart rate of the baby, how good the fetal movement is, and all that good jazz. So hooking those up, it's very intimidating the first time you do it. And very quickly I learned with the nurses that were helping me hook them up that boys during the NSTs, they stay still. Like as soon as you find their heart rate, you can hook up the little band, the belly band, and keep it in place. Girls, as soon as you find their heart rate and you stick one of the bands on to keep that Doppler in place, they are going all over the place. You're literally chasing them all over mom's belly, trying to find the heart rate. And it's kind of bad because there's just ultrasound gel everywhere and you gotta wipe up the mom because, you know, they're already uncomfortable, so you want to keep them as comfortable as possible. And I always apologize, like, sorry, but baby's running from me, you know. That is one of the best parts of my job, is hooking up the NST machines. I love finding babies' heartbeats. It's just amazing that life is in there. And the second favorite part of my job is when the doctor goes in, listens to the NST machine, hears baby's heart rate, she goes in, feels the cervix, say they're dilated 4 to 6 centimeters and they're about 70% effaced. They'll come out, or even if the nurses are in the room, they'll say, you know what, you're in active labor, we gotta get you to the hospital. So my job then is to find a wheelchair. We put mom in the wheelchair, bring all of her guests with her if they have family with them, and we take them to the hospital right next door, take them to the delivery unit and tell them where we're from, who the patient is. She's in active labor. She's however many centimeters dilated, however many percent effaced. She's having contractions. She's in active labor. She's going to be delivering soon. So we get them to the room. The nurses at that unit start setting them up. And I love being there to tell them, good luck, congratulations, I can't wait to see your new bundle of joy when you get done. And it's just exciting to be a part of something like that. So basically, as intake nurse, I'm responsible for knowing why the patient's here. I'm responsible for knowing how many weeks this patient is, what issues they've had during this pregnancy, how we need to prevent it, what injections they're here for, like Tdap vaccines, or if they want the flu vaccine, all kinds of stuff. So nursing school really pays off, and I am blessed to have the opportunity to work in this field. I'm so grateful to be able to work in OBGYN since this was my favorite rotation in nursing school. So every day I wake up loving going to work, and I don't complain when I'm there. I help everybody out. There's some days that are slower than others depending on what doctor I'm working for. So if I only have like 6 patients for the day and I'm done by 12:30 or whatever, I jump and I try to help other nurses out because we can get overwhelmed and oh my goodness, I wonder what happened. Sorry about that. But yeah, as nurses, you can get overwhelmed, especially if you have a lot of OBs coming in at one time just for checkups, or if you have multiple NSTs at one time coming in one after the other and there's only a couple machines available. So I love doing teamwork. I love helping them out, getting things running smooth, even if I'm just grabbing their patient, doing their intake and saying, hey, we don't have a room available for you right now. Do you mind waiting in the waiting room until we get one available for you? And always usually, yeah, sure, that's fine. They go right back out in the waiting room. And it just makes it run smoother when everybody works together, and that's why I love where I work. It's so family oriented. There's no drama. Everyone's there to work, get things done, have a good time, really get to know our patients, and it's just amazing. I love doing what I do. I love waking up every day, going to work, knowing that I'm going to make a difference in someone's life. Out of 15, 20 patients I have, I know at least one of them is going to be grateful for my service that day, and that's all that matters. So I'm very excited to see where this opportunity takes me. I've only been there 3 weeks, about that long, and I'm loving it. Monday, I'm with another nurse. We're going to be doing injections. I have seen them do the Depo-Provera injections a lot. That's on the outer butt cheek. Basically, you're going to rotate sites. So if a patient comes in and they had the Depo-Provera on the left butt cheek the last visit, you're going to do it in the right buttock. So you just keep switching it up. I haven't seen them do the Makena injections, which that drug is to help prevent another preterm pregnancy because the mom before has had preterm pregnancies. That basically just keeps their hormones kind of balanced instead of making them go all out of whack and stuff like that. So I haven't seen them do one of those. I haven't seen the Tdap vaccine, which a lot of the OBs come in for, of course. We are offering the flu shot to a lot of them, and a lot of them are getting that. So I can't wait to be on injections and just really start getting in a groove. I'm really getting in a groove of being intake nurse. I know what I'm doing every morning when I go in. Once I print out my schedule, I get all the forms I'm going to need that day for certain patients printed out. I have them ready in a stack on clipboards. I go to the waiting room, call them back, and just keep it moving. And I love it because it's so fast-paced. The hours are great. We get all major holidays off. It's Monday through Friday, and I literally couldn't ask for a better job. This is exactly what I wanted after nursing school. So I'm very grateful. I'm very blessed, and I cannot wait to see where all of these nursing opportunities take me.